Every single moving abroad video shows the cafes, the cobblestone streets, or the beautiful sunsets on the beaches, the aperitivo at sunset, but nobody shows you what they're not actually telling you regarding moving abroad. And that's because their income depends on you believing the dream. I'm a New York licensed attorney. I have court deadlines. I have clients who need me physically present for signings and a law practice that I've been running since 2018. So my income has nothing to do with whether or not you buy my Move Abroad course. So let me tell you what everyone else won't. Now, if it's your first time here, I moved abroad for the first time at 19 or 20 years old. I had no help, no guidance. No, there was no internet the way we knew it now. So it was about bulletins at the consulate's office, and you had to figure it out. Baptism by fire. And so I made mistakes. So I'm going to share with you the pitfalls that you should avoid on this channel. Now, fast forward years later, I became an attorney and my family and I bought a property in Italy. And so we're building a life between essentially three countries, the US, Colombia, and Italy, while I'm also running an active practice in New York. I did not blow up my life to move abroad. I expanded it. And so moving abroad does not have to be an all or nothing. It doesn't have to be a zero sum game. You don't have to sell everything, quit everything, and pray it works out. You just have to know the legal framework and build it right and find the path that's right for you. And that's why I created Legally Abroad, because I'm the person I wish I had then. So here's what everyone else won't tell you. First, the visa rejection rates. So I'm going through the Italian permesso process myself, like right now actively. I have biometrics. I have a biometrics appointment scheduled May 8th, I believe. So I know firsthand that the process is not what the government website describes, and the timelines are not what YouTube tells you. Consulates do not publish denial rates, and creators don't either because it undermines their relocation course sales. Another aspect about the visa process is that the bureaucracy is not charming, but I'm not really concerned about the bureaucracy because as an attorney, I deal with bureaucracy all the time, so I'm a bit immune to it. But the systems and the way of doing things is unfamiliar. So that is where I have issues. Not even so much the language, it's the systems. So for example, as you saw in my previous videos that I hired an architect, but the architect took my deposit and went silent for almost 8 weeks. So I had to draft a formal legal notice to get my money back and then find replacement architects. That's not a charming Italian adventure. That's an actual legal dispute in a foreign country in a foreign language. And although I'm an attorney, I will not dare to assume that my legal knowledge in the US translates to Italian law. I know nothing about Italian jurisprudence. So I had to reach out to several contexts to get context of how to deal with this delicately. But this happens more often to foreigners than is reported. But thankfully, I got the money back, but not without being insulted for demanding my money back for work that was not done. So I got compared to being Donald Trump for demanding the return of my money for work that was not done. But nevertheless, it worked out. But it was not a pleasant experience. And I had to navigate it delicately with consideration of cultural norms and the nuances of this contract. But thankfully, it worked out. And having cultural competence is really something that I'll talk about more in future videos. But bureaucracy and unfamiliarity with the system is really not bureaucracy. Visa rejection complications that you don't know that you might run into, and lack of familiarity with the systems of the country that you're moving to could be anxiety provoking. Not necessarily bureaucracy, but just you have nothing to compare it to. If you're born in the US, you never had to deal with immigration issues. You never had to deal with how to order your birth certificate or how to do certain things that immigrants have to deal with. And so the unfamiliarity with the system is what I think is a better description of what's actually going on. Another aspect is that even though you move abroad, your US obligations don't pause, and you do not have to blow up your whole life in order to move abroad. Here is the thing no one in this space is going to tell you. Moving abroad is sold as an all or nothing formula. Sell everything, quit your job, buy a one-way ticket, burn it down. And if you can't do that, like I can't do that. I have clients, I have court appearances, I have a career, I have a life that I've actually built. It would not serve me to destroy everything for the sake of moving abroad. What I have to do is bridge. And that is what I'm encouraging you to do. Then you can decide if moving abroad is for you. It's you're monkey vining, you're expanding, you're developing a life in two places, which has its level of anxiety, but you need the security of the US, the money from the US to fund your life abroad. So it would behoove you to cherish what the US can give you, which is a powerful passport that gives you entry into 80, if not 90% of the world. So you want to foster that relationship rather than destroy it. And by all means, am I condoning anything the US does, but the passport gives you entry to the rest of the world. So foster and take care of that relationship. So in terms of what I have been doing, I still have to return to US to serve clients. I live in two worlds right now, and I'm doing it intentionally. And there's a version of this that doesn't require you to blow everything up that you've built. I call it move abroad light. Find a place, buy it affordably, renovate it slowly, travel there a few times a year to check on it, to build your life there incrementally. Like use the monkey bar method. You don't let go of one bar until your hand is ready to take the next one. That's not failure, that's strategy. So, like I said, last year, we bought the house in Italy, but I still maintain residence in the US and I was going back and forth. I check on the renovation, I build it slowly. This is not a zero sum game. And anyone telling you it has to be is either fully relocated with nothing to lose or selling you a fantasy that only works for people who don't have real obligations. Your US obligations are real and they don't pause. And if you are negligent regarding those obligations, that can impact your ability to stay abroad. For instance, FBAR, state taxes, professional licenses, none of that disappears because you got on a plane, but neither does your dream. You just have to structure it in a way that's legal and intelligently. We're not children. We're not 22. We can't sleep on a blow up mattress for the next 8 months and call that moving abroad. And that's exactly what I teach in my legally abroad system, which I'll tell you more about later on. Another mistake I see people make is the move abroad content falls into three categories. Aspirational day in the life, my rent and groceries are cheap. I live in a walkable city. Come with me while I get a latte, or come with me while I go grocery shopping, etc. Or retirees who have income that can carry them abroad, living on their Social Security, their pension, their life savings. The third category is I'll teach you how to start a business so that you can move abroad. And then the sales from you purchasing that course funds my life abroad. That's pretty much the categories of people, or people who are wealthy or have a settlement or something like that, and that they could live off of the funds or they sold their property. Now, my journey is different. I've been in business since 2018. I have a stable client base that exists completely independently of anything I post online. When you don't see me posting for a few weeks at a time, it's because I'm nose to the grindstone, serving the clients in real time in my life. I do not depend on income from social media. As a matter of fact, I could turn clients away. But what's more important is that I could live anywhere in the world for the most part because of my business, because it's been in existence since 2018. I built momentum. as well as my nervous system is not tied to the algorithm changes or course launch numbers. I'm telling you this because the people who get into serious trouble are the ones who try to build their income and their new life abroad at the same time. Now, the anxiety of building a client base while burning through savings and navigating immigration paperwork simultaneously is extremely overwhelming, even for the best of us. So, what I would encourage you to do is figure out your income first, build momentum. If it's going to be from your business, build momentum there. That will allow you to then move abroad. Move abroad light first, then expand from there. Now, as it relates to building your business, this is also interesting. I go back and forth between New York, Italy, and Colombia because of the way my practice is set up. I understand exactly what that means for my tax position, my residency status, and my permesso obligations. Most people doing this have no idea how you structure your time between two countries determines whether you can access the tax exclusions that make living abroad financially viable. Nobody in lifestyle content explains this because most of them are fully relocated, and the audience is people trying to do the same. My audience is different. It's professionals, business owners, licensed practitioners, people with real US obligations who want to build a life abroad without burning down what they built in the US. So going back and forth is not a compromise. It's a legal strategy, and it can be done correctly so that it could save you thousands of dollars. Another interesting thing that actually came up when we recently went to Italy was this happened to me personally, that your body itself can become a legal obstacle and nobody warns you about this. So this happened to me when my mother and I landed in Switzerland. We had a layover in Switzerland for about an hour. So we're crossing into the EU region. When they went to capture her fingerprints for biometric identification, nothing came up. And at that moment, apparently my mom was doing research on this. We had this issue also when we had to get something apostilled for her. But she said she was doing research on people who don't have fingerprints. So apparently she has adermatophagia or something like that. It's a rare genetic disorder that prevents fingerprint development. So the medical community actually nicknamed it the immigration delay disease because it affected how individuals have been denied entry into countries that require fingerprinting for identification. So when the Swiss border agent couldn't capture my mother's prints, he looked at us and said, "Luckily, this isn't the US because they would have sent you back." He was joking, I think, but he wasn't wrong because in 2007, a Swiss woman actually was denied entry into the United States because she had no fingerprints and the border agents didn't know what to do with her. So that was an absolute reality after flying for 10 hours. So this is a real legal issue with no official protocol anywhere in the world. No government has published guidelines for what to do when a person physically cannot provide biometric identification. So what did we do? Smile, humble ourselves, pray. So if you or anyone else you know traveling has this condition, or any medical condition that affects biometrics capture, perhaps getting documentation in place before you get to that border is something you want to think about. This is exactly the kind of situation that never appears in any lifestyle content because the people making it have never had to think about it. I have. And now you know. The other aspect I want you to think about is that every creator in this space needs you to believe the dream is beautiful and accessible because their income depends on it. I'm not saying they're lying or they're misrepresenting or it's fraud. I'm saying to be discerning. I'm saying the incentive structure doesn't reward honesty about the hard parts. I have a law practice. I was doing this before I ever turned a camera on, and I'll be doing it long after. I have no reason to oversell this to you and every reason to tell you the truth. Again, I moved abroad for the first time at 19 years old with no guidance, no help. So I provide a system to help you avoid the pitfalls that I've learned about with firsthand experience. Like I said, I'm building the jet as I'm flying it too. And I provide this system for you so you can avoid the pitfalls and that you can have a smooth landing. And here's what I'll leave you with, the real gag about moving abroad, because I see a lot of comments. How do people do it? How do people find jobs? What is it about moving abroad? Like what they think they're missing something. But the people who are able to move abroad fall into these categories. Retirees, I think I mentioned this earlier, who have their social security, their pension, their life saving. People who have a business that allows them to work anywhere in the world, most likely they had that business for many years and they built momentum. 3, people who have severance packages from employers that gave them a sizable amount of money that allows them to relocate and essentially like pick and choose where they want to go without having to worry about working. People who have a job offer, but here's the caveat. Europe, the Asian markets, or like Canada or New Zealand, those are the companies that will pay salaries comparable to what Americans are accustomed to making. So that's just what allows these people to relocate remotely because they're relying on foreign international businesses that pay them in strong currencies. Those jobs are limited to highly skilled individuals. I mentioned this in my Legally Abroad course, essentially which countries you want to focus on if you need employment in order to fund your life abroad. Those jobs are limited and you have to be highly skilled. Now, in terms of South America and Central America, those jobs are limited and the salaries are low compared to what Americans are accustomed making. So if you want to move abroad and you're relying on, and you don't have a business, you're not a retiree, you don't have severance package, you want to focus on international companies, US, Asian, Canadian, European companies that will pay you a comparable salary to fund your life abroad. So that's just it. Cut through all the noise. Those are the pathways. So in summary, moving abroad does not have to be an all or nothing game. It's about developing the strategy that works best for you. You don't have to sell everything, quit everything, and pray it works out. You just have to know the legal framework and build it right. So I created Legally Abroad, a course that helps you navigate the move abroad journey delicately and with dignity. I'm not trying to talk you out of moving abroad. I'm providing you a framework. So if this happens, then this, how to deal with visas. What are the appropriate visas depending on your phase of life? Health insurance abroad, navigating that before you get onto the national health care of the country that you're relocating to. Cutting ties with the US, what you want to do, what you don't want to do. Also tax implications, whether you work for a foreign company or you are freelance. So all of that is built into the system so that you can avoid pitfalls. Again, I'm not trying to talk you out of moving abroad. I just want to make sure that if you go, you can actually stay, which is why I provided this system to guide you with the nuts and bolts, not the glamour. It's a given the US is struggling. You don't need one more photo or video of a beautiful cafe reminding you of that. You need a system. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments section. If you have any video ideas that you want me to speak more about, don't forget to share this with anyone else that you know is embarking on the move abroad journey. And I will see you next time. Bye bye.